stop buying tomatoes at the supermarket. I'm going to show you 5 things you can do to successfully grow tomatoes. Let's go. In this video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to grow your own tomatoes. So let's get into it. Number 1, you've got to know where you're going to put your garden. You need to make sure that you have at least, and I mean a minimum of 7 hours a day of sunlight for your tomatoes to thrive. If you have any less than that, you're just not going to get very good production. So make sure you take the time, maybe on a weekend when you have some time, to look at your backyard to see where the sun falls in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening, to see where you want to put your garden to begin with, especially if you're doing a raised bed, because once it's there, I really don't think you want to be moving that. So that's kind of a no-brainer. That's an easy thing. I mean, in an ideal world, you would have a situation that I don't have on my own property, where you get sunlight in the morning, and then you get a break in the mid-afternoon in the hottest part of the day, and then you get 4 more hours of sun in the evening. If you have a setup like that in your backyard where you have a tree that's just perfect for that and your house is facing the right direction, then that's where I would put mine. I don't have that here. I have 8+ hours a day, and it's probably something that contributes to me getting 10+ foot tall tomato plants. So that's number 1. Number 2, you need to know what variety you're buying. So there's only 2 varieties actually of tomato plants that you can buy. One is a determinate variety and one is a indeterminate variety. I only grow indeterminate plants. Determinate plants only get a couple feet tall. They're predetermined to get a certain size, and they are predetermined to grow a certain amount of tomatoes. I only grow indeterminate because they will grow all season long. They'll get 10-12 foot tall. Some people have gotten theirs even bigger, which is outrageous, and they will produce until it gets so cold that they just die back. So if you're growing in a small space, like maybe your backyard, or maybe you're just doing a small 8x8 garden, you don't want to waste your time getting a determinate variety of tomatoes, because they're only going to produce one time. They're going to stay really small. You're going to be very disappointed. If it was me, and you go to the store, you need to look on the tag. It'll tell you on the tag if it's a determinate or indeterminate variety. Do yourself a favor, get the indeterminate variety. Okay? Third, you're going to get something like this, or it's going to come in a flat with like 6 spaces or 8 or whatever it is that's at the store at the time. If it's a bigger tomato plant you're going to buy, it's going to be in something like this. Don't make the mistake as a beginner gardener of planting just because they have it this deep. That's as deep as you got to plant yours. You can plant yours as deep as you can to the very top, to where you only have a little bit of maybe like 3 or 4 leaves left on it. You want to make sure something's sticking out of the ground, of course. But on the stem of your tomato plant is little hairs. All those little hairs are potential roots. And the more roots that you have, the stronger your plant's going to be, the more nutrients your plants are going to have, the more tomatoes you're going to have, right? So there's the first 3 steps. Number 4 is going to be watering. I think this is kind of a big deal, something that I wish I would have known about when I first started. Inconsistent watering when it comes to tomato plants, or any plant for that matter, it's bad. If you're not consistent, you don't have like an irrigation system, then you need to make sure you go out there every couple days and check your soil moisture level. I do that by putting my finger in up to the 2nd knuckle, and if it's moist from here down, I don't water. If it isn't, then I water. And this is the reason. Tomatoes, the whole point of a tomato plant is to reproduce. That's what it wants to do. So it's going to protect the tomatoes. So as soon as you let it go 3 or 4 days without getting water, and you decide to drown it with water, it's going to put all of the water it can into every tomato that you have on that plant. And that tomato skin is only so thick, and it's going to absorb it. And it can do it within a couple hour period, which is insane. It will absorb water so fast it will split the tomato. And then now your tomato is ruined. You're going to have to take it off if it's green, maybe cut that piece off, or just do fried green tomatoes. It can really get frustrating, and it's a problem that I didn't catch for a couple years. And it all comes down to inconsistent watering. Water every couple days, a couple inches, just depending on where you are and how hot it is. It's gonna vary because the temperature is gonna change, right? You're gonna have cloudy days, you're gonna have 100-degree days. Keep tabs daily or every other day on how much water is in your soil. Again, this just always worked for me. Use your finger, go to the second knuckle, and if you're to the first knuckle, if you have moisture, it's damp, then you're fine because those roots are deep, right? Here's the last thing that I'm going to tell you to do that's probably going to be one of the biggest. It's pruning. A lot of people just put their plant in the ground and they think, oh, that's it. I'm just got to water it now, maybe throw some granular fertilizer on there and I'm good. That's not true. So when it comes to tomato plants, you have something called suckers. You have your main stem of your tomato plant, and then you have your branches off to the side, correct? Well, in between those, you're gonna have little suckers, and you'll see them pretty fast as soon as you plant them. They call them suckers for a reason. You wanna pull those off because they will literally suck the energy away from the areas of the plant that it's needed the most. Like the tomatoes, for example. If you allow those suckers just to continue growing, it's like a whole new main stem, and you're gonna grow more stems and more leaves and less tomatoes and smaller tomatoes. So if you're concerned that you won't be able to spot a sucker, let me learn you. So you have your main stem. I can get in here. Main stem. Follow it up. See that? Here's branching off to the side, just another branch. Main stem, in between it. Look, it's a sucker. Got to pull those off. Another one right here. Another one there. If I can get to it. Good Lord. Got to pull those puppies off. Another one right here. And this has literally happened in a couple days. Like, here's another one. Good Lord. Everywhere. So that's how you can determine whether or not it's a sucker or not. Don't go in here all willy-nilly and pulling stuff off. You make sure you can recognize what the suckers are. Well, that's it for me, guys. It's hot, and as you can see, it's time to mow. So until next time.